This is Will Montgomery, former Washington Redskins center.
Yo, what's good, folks? This is Trey Johnson, the headbanger, yo, and you're listening to Mess Hall with Rally Captain and Tailgate Ted. Word.
What's going on, Rally? Welcome back from the not so big easy, man. How you doing?
Well, let me tell you, the drinks were easy and the food was easy, but that game, god dang, it constipated me, brother. So it was not easy at all. I gotta tell you, man. Woo! But hey, at the end of the day, we always said whether we win by 1 or 100, a dub is a dub is a dub. And I'll take it.
I hear you, man, and I agree with you. And we're not the Kansas City Chiefs, right? We're not the 40, we're not the Baltimore Ravens, right? We have made it to 9 wins for the first time since 2015, I think. Yeah, 2015. First time we've had 9 wins, right? It's our first winning season since 2016 when we went to London and tied that damn game and we went 8-7-1 and missed the playoffs, right? And so it's not like this happens a ton for us. So yes, I am happy that we got the win. It just doesn't feel like a win to celebrate, right? We came off the bye week and we were rusty. But before we jump into the game, man, but I am seeing pictures and videos just with the burgundy and gold takeover down in New Orleans. You were obviously feet on the street. How was it down there, man? What did I miss out on?
Oh man, you missed out on turning every corner and seeing burgundy and gold. They had a lot of events. Santana Moss had an event. There were several other people that had parties and get-togethers and things of that nature. And then, of course, I cannot not mention the biggest rally that happened in New Orleans was at the fan rally at Pat O'Brien's. And initially I told you that we had 1,500 people. No, brother. No. 2,500 people, man.
That's freaking awesome, man.
It was crazy. Jayden's mom, she stopped by, but she was like, "Look, nah, it's just too crowded. I gotta go." She didn't come in. And a lot of people were just. Do you remember how London was?
Oh yeah.
And everybody couldn't get inside.
I was upstairs on the second floor hanging out with Joe Theismann, so I had a bird's eye view.
Yeah.
Of literally like people up against the door to get in the place and get out of the place. It was insane.
Yeah, I was with you basically. You were talking to Joe. I was talking to LeVar Arrington and Larry Michael, and man, I got to tell you, it was a great feeling. And so there were a lot of people. Well, I shouldn't say a lot of people, but there was this one table who they weren't Commanders fans, they weren't Saints fans, they were just people who were there just to partake. Yeah, just to partake of Pat O'Brien's The Hurricanes. And they said, "Excuse me, do you know what's going on here?" And I said, "Oh, this is a fan rally." And they said, well, do you know who organized it? And before I could say anything, someone within earshot said, "He's the guy who organized this. He's the one that put this together." And everybody, they just were like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing. We want to be able to travel with you guys and follow you guys." They weren't even fans, but yet they want to go to the next rally. And I told them, I said, "Well, if you want to do it, it'll be in Dallas." So I thought that was really weird, man, and really cool.
I mean, that just speaks of the vibe that you're putting on, man. I mean, JP Finley talked about it today on his show. There was go-go. Oh, yeah. There was go-go playing in New Orleans, going to Pat O'Brien's because he ended up showing up. I know B couldn't make it because he was at Santana's thing. But I know JP showed up and some other media showed.
He did show up. He did show up. And I spoke to him, but because I was so busy, basically this is one of the times I had to say, "Hey, what's up, JP?" All right, and I moved on. So what did he say on the show? I didn't hear anything about it.
Just how busy it was, and there was just burgundy and gold everywhere you looked. You know, you turn a corner, you couldn't help but bump into someone cheering for Washington. And then when he walked into Pat O'Brien's, and I think he put a video up of it too on his Twitter, and I'll put that on the YouTube. If you guys are listening, we also got a YouTube channel you can watch this on. But just how awesome it was, and mentioned how, you know, you would organize the thing down there, and he asked B if B went, but B wasn't able to make it because he had to be with Tana for his thing.
Yeah.
So it's just, it was awesome to hear, man. It was awesome to see. I mean, shame, no offense to them, because I'm friends with all of them, but shame on our local TV stations. If they had a crew out there, shame on y'all for not covering it and doing it justice, because it sounds like it was another Vegas type rally where you guys just took over and the place was just packed. And Pat O'Brien's is massive, but it looked like it was just nuts to butts from all the different shots I saw, man. And everybody was smiling. And that to me is my biggest regret, is missing out on all that fan camaraderie, just everyone being in such a good mood.
Yeah, it was great, man. You know, so Pat O'Brien basically has two addresses. One leads you to like the main restaurant area, and then the other leads you to the courtyard area. And so
kind of a back entrance. But
yeah, everyone was saying, "Well, which address is it?" And I said, "Either one. Just come on in. You'll be right there." And so, and you know, so obviously we had a lot of people who registered. A lot of people who registered, but then there were so many people who were like, "No, I didn't register, but I came anyway." So, you know, kudos to everyone that did register, because as you saw, they had a lot of staff. It still wasn't enough staff to get everybody what they needed, but they worked their butts off to get the hurricanes out to everyone and whatever else they wanted to drink. Big shout out to the Commanders organization once again for supplying the swag. There wasn't enough swag. I mean, it went. I mean, I tried.
I was
to
going to ask you, because I need one of those beanies if you got one lying around. But yeah, no worries.
Yeah, because I said, listen, this is going to start at 5, and I don't want anyone to do anything before 5, because the last thing I need is someone who comes in and says, "Hey, I was here and I didn't get anything." So but they wanted to snatch them up at 4:45 or 4:50 before that, and I was like, no, no. And another big shout out to Woodbridge Collectibles for giving. We had 2 Santana Moss jerseys that we auctioned off and raffled off. Excuse me, we raffled them off. And man, big shout out to those guys. They do great work. Can never not mention them when we're talking about when I talk about the Red Cross and charities and the things that they've done as far as helping out with the rallies. So big shout out goes to those guys, Woodbridge Collectibles. And big shout out to
Which jersey did you do this time?
Say again.
Which jersey did you do this time?
Santana Moss Cowboy Killer.
Nice. That's a good one.
Yeah, I'll have some pictures up of the 2 winners who won the raffle for him. So we had, like I said, two separate drawings, and it was just amazing, man.
It sounded like it, man. I mean, just people were so. Peel back the onion a little bit. I was helping you trying to organize the RSVP. There were people emailing that day at like 6 o'clock East Coast time asking if they can still show up. So I'm replying back to all these emails coming through on the system because I want them to know, yes, show up. This was just to make sure that they had enough people there, right? Appreciate you guys asking. Go. Get your ass there right now. It's going on. So make sure you get to Pat O'Brien's. And people are asking what time's it end. Like, officially it ends at this, but New Orleans doesn't close, right? I mean, Bourbon Street don't shut down. So just get out there right now, because some people are complaining that their flight got delayed and this and that, and they just got the link and weren't able to register. It's like, no. Just go. Just get out there, be a part of it, go have a good time. So it was awesome to see that was coming through while I'm sitting here hanging out and it's freezing cold, you know, like the 30-degree weather. And you guys are out there by that fire at Pat's and just having a blast, man. I'm happy for you. I'm happy it all went well. I had no doubt it wouldn't. And it was just awesome to see from your perspective. And then all these other videos just floating around on socials.
Yeah, I really even haven't had time to look at all of them. You know, I've just been balls to the wall. And so, but that's what it is, you know. So, but I look forward to when things can slow down for me just a little bit to where I can look at these videos because, like as you said, I have heard, but I just haven't seen. And so I'm looking forward to it because, like you said, everyone was having a great time, smiles on their faces, and the mere fact that so many people were like, "Dude, this is incredible. This just is just incredible." And so it made me feel really good that that they came out to support the team because it's the team first, and then the rally second. And I greatly appreciate that, and to be able to bring people together like that.
Oh yeah, man, you do a great job at it. That's why you're the rally captain. So moving on to the next day. I mean, the one thing I hate about games in the central time zone is it's a noon kickoff instead of a 1 o'clock. So for us back here in DC in the DMV, game was at 1, but because it's a central, y'all had it at noon. So did you stay out late? Did you guys go tailgate anywhere? I mean, what was game day like?
So actually, after the rally, I went out. I had a couple drinks, but then I knew that, like you said, that technically this is Central Standard Time, but our bodies are on Eastern Standard Time. And I made a point at the rally to say, listen, to all us people on the East Coast, the game starts at noon, not 1. And I would hate for you guys to miss kickoff and be late. And everybody was like, oh my God, thank you. We greatly appreciate it. But fast forwarding, so I went to bed kind of early because I knew that at basically 9 o'clock Central Time, or yeah, 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, I wanted to be up because I wanted to partake of the tailgate. So they had the great thing about New Orleans is obviously because it's in the city, and we've been to stadiums that are located in the city, they really don't have a lot of place for you to tailgate. But
Yeah.
the thing that New Orleans did, which I really, really like, is they have this open area that has a band, uh, beer tents or liquor tents or whatever you want to call it. And it's just a huge courtyard area where everyone is free. It obviously for everyone to show up, you just have to have a game ticket to be able to enter into this particular spot.
Yeah. And then they
And
got vendors you can partake at.
correct, correct.
Yeah.
And that's what I liked because maybe you didn't want to buy a drink or you wanted to wait until you got inside the stadium. There was still entertainment outside, if you will, for you to be able to listen to and vibe with everyone and just have a great time. And I like that. So I spent a couple hours out there, taking pictures, even autographed jerseys, dude. It just shocked me. I will always do it. Um, but it just shocked me that people want me to autograph their jerseys and autograph paraphernalia. Period. But I do it and it's a good thing. Then I said, all right, hey, look, it's time to go inside, and I went inside probably maybe 11ish, if you will, and just to get the lay of the land because let's face it, all stadiums are different, and depending on where you enter, you may have to walk around half the freaking stadium to get to your seat. So
Yeah.
luckily it wasn't that bad for me. But as I said before, man, as old as the Superdome is, they have increasingly made updates to the interior, which make that stadium top tier, man.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
they
I
really
mean, I
have.
love that place when I was there.
Yeah.
Those that don't know, I mean, it was built in 1971,
Can you
right?
believe that?
I mean, they do a fantastic job, renovating that thing, keeping it up to speed. I think in 2023, they put $193 million into it. So
It
they
shows.
are constantly doing stuff to that thing.
It shows. I liked how the signs read. I mean, they were just very easy for you to read. And something as small as hey, if you are sitting in seats hypothetically 1 through 19, you enter on this side of the sidewalk.
That's
If
nice.
from 20 to 30, this side, because how many times have you walked into a stadium and they say, oh, here's your section 115, and you say, oh, okay, and you start walking down, and little do you know, Now you're on the other side and you got to say, pardon me, excuse me, pardon me, excuse me, pardon me, excuse me, and go over so many people to get to your seat when ration it off, break it off. I mean, that's just to me, just
Common
common sense.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just makes sense for people to, it's like you're flipping a coin. Am I going down the right side? Am I going down the wrong side? And what's going to happen? And if you're seat 2, I ain't letting your ass walk all the way through. You just go back up, right?
Yeah.
And just come back
Wait a
around.
minute, wait a minute. You ain't got a choice, brother. Come on, Ted.
Nah, I
Come
mean, it's
on.
just it's obnoxious, especially for those people that get there late and then they got to walk through and bother everybody else. It's like, nah, it's just, or I mean, maybe the usher should be doing something, but now that it's, I mean, so I didn't see you on camera. Where were you and I'm for the game?
I was in the section 124, which is kind of a corner spot, if you will. It's weird. Me and KJ were together. Hawk Farmer
Yeah,
KJ.
just
So
randomly, or did you guys plan that?
no, just
That's
randomly.
funny.
Yeah, I go down to my seat and I'm like, hey, he's already there, posted up. So, it was a good showing, man. And I'm like, dude, we couldn't even plan this even any better than this,
That's awesome. So, how many Burgundy and Gold fans did you see in those stands? I mean, at a certain point, I could hear Terry when he scored that first touchdown. So, I mean, it sounded like we took that place over, except on the camera view, you just saw a bunch of Saints fans in the end zone. I was looking for you, obviously, but you
Yeah.
just saw a ton of Saints fans around there.
In all honesty, Ted, I'm going to say probably 60-40.
Damn.
Yeah.
60-40 us.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's
I
great
mean,
to hear, man.
the New Orleans fans, they did show up a little bit. But I told them, I said, listen, guys, you guys are starting to feel what we felt the last couple years. So basically, where KJ's sitting, and if you guys are
Yeah,
watching,
I'm looking at it right now.
that's where I was sitting, right there in the corner.
So was that the corner that the Saints scored that final touchdown,
No,
or
opposite.
opposite side? Okay, so
Yeah.
you didn't miss it, but you didn't see it from
Yeah.
that vantage point. Gotcha. Okay, that makes that's where Terry got his touchdown.
Exactly.
There you go. Okay, that's
Yeah.
nice. And we're referencing the picture on the screen that's on the YouTube. If you guys are wondering what the hell Riley and I are talking about, but no, that's awesome, man. That you got to sit there and hang out there. Yeah, they must have been trying to avoid putting burgundy and gold on the screen for whatever reason. But during the game, did you know that Tyler Biadasz was out? Did you have any idea?
No, and that's one of the bad things that we always talk about. Unless you are listening actively with headphones, you're gonna miss the minutia of things. And so there were a lot of things that I missed. But as always, you got to go back and try to look at it or listen for. But if you don't know, you don't know. And so I found out today that apparently he had a fever of some sort or a cold or something,
Yeah,
and
it was
that
a fever.
he couldn't play. He made the trip, but he didn't play.
He actually was warming up, and they showed him. John Keim showed a video of Biadasz trying to warm up before the game, and it just did not work out. He just wasn't doing well at all.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, here comes in Dieter, and next thing you know, the Saints, who have a horrible run defense, were just freaking amazing. We just could not move the ball anywhere on the ground. It was just unbelievably annoying to see what happened. And you got people yelling and screaming, oh, this is what we're doing after the bye week again. And granted, it's still, we're winning 14-0, right? We're not playing our best ball, but we're up 14-0. The Saints had 38 total yards of offense in the first half, right? I mean, our defense was doing what they needed to. We just kept shooting ourselves in the foot with dumb penalties. We lucked out that the Saints actually roughed the long snapper on a field goal, and we took the points down and ended up getting a touchdown that drive instead. But watching the first half, man, I mean, usually it's the Saints come rolling in. I mean, Washington obviously came rolling in, right? We are doing everything we need to. Third down, we're converting pretty much all of them. Jayden is looking like he is 100% healthy, except they were getting some pressure on him. I mean, since you didn't know about Biadasz, I'm assuming you didn't realize what was going on, but were you kind of surprised at the like lack of run productivity going up against those guys?
Of course I was. But at the same time, Ted, and maybe this is just the old me. I just said, as long as we're winning, I'm okay. You know, those I always say those guys get paid too. And had I known that Biadasz was out, then maybe it made me feel a little bit better. But I said, hey, no, this is an NFL team who's trying to do some things as well. Nobody's just going to lay down because we're the Commanders trying to seek a wild card spot. You know, if anything, they're trying to prohibit us from getting that wild card spot. So I just look at it as if, hey, these guys are playing hard as well, and don't take them for granted. Just keep pushing ahead and don't try to lose the game. And boy, the second half, you know the deal.
Yeah, it was frustrating to see because I mean the Saints defense, they gave up 14 points to the Browns. And these are just the past 3 weeks, right? 14 points to the Browns, 14 points to the Rams when the Rams put up, 44 the other day, and 11 points to the Giants. That's the Giants. Okay, well, it is what it is. But that Saints defense kind of buckled down, right? And all of a sudden they stopped us. And I was starting to get a little concerned just watching it at home on TV, being up by 14. The spread was 7. And if you guys listen or watch the show, I said at the end of the last show, previewing the game, do not take the Commanders with the points. I just don't think it's a good bet at all. It concerns me. The last time we were a 10-point favorite, we all know what happened against Dallas, right? The last time we had that many buys. So for me, it felt like it was a combination of rust and a combination of not having your starting center, right? And then next thing you know, Jayden is scrambling around, and we ended up giving up 8 sacks, right? And I went back and looked at every single sack in slow motion.
Mm-hmm.
I would say 3 of those sacks were on the offensive line. I'd say 3 of those sacks were just damn good coverage sacks. And 2 of those sacks were on Jayden for not throwing the ball away. And a couple of them were just ticky-tacky because it was a sack because he ran out of bounds and he lost a yard, but he could have just thrown the ball. This is actually what Jayden had to say about the pressure.
The 8 sacks, yeah, and not all of them true sacks, but just what's kind of your taking 8 sacks?
I mean, I got to be able to get the ball in my hands and help the O-line out. I mean, I put that on me. It's not all on the O-line. You know, I got to be able to do better back there in the pocket, maneuver in the pocket.
It did kill me to see that Chase Young had 2 sacks. I mean, it is what it is. He's sitting there flexing. You got people talking on socials about it, and I'm just ignoring them and starting to hit mute. But the offensive line is a concern. The good news is, and we'd have a clip of it, but for some reason, Dan Quinn's press conference wasn't actually streamed to anyone today. Biadasz is supposed to be back for Philly. So it was just an illness. And when I'm saying just an illness, I mean the guy was sick. So he's supposed to be back for Philly. He had they said he had a mask on in the locker room, and some of the beat reporters were saying he just looked just horrible. But I mean, he tried to tough it out. But we're going to need him going up against Philly. And we'll talk about Philly later on this week. But a couple things bothered me that game. And I'm guessing you can kind of think about one of them. But when they benched their quarterback, actually, did you even know that they benched their quarterback? Did you know that they brought the other guy in?
No. And once again, when it's live.
Yeah, when you're there, and they're not making a big name change on the Jumbotron.
Exactly. And that's what I was going to say. They didn't say, and now starting for the New Orleans Saints is Spencer Ratliff or whatever his name is. You know, until there seemed to be, I said, wow, this kid may be starting to warm up is what I thought.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I said, man, he's figured some things out. He's starting to warm up. Little did I know it was Spencer Rattler. But that just says a lot about them as well, their organization. What are they going to do? You know, but I can't worry about what they're going to do. We got to worry about what we're going to do. And the whole game, well, I shouldn't say the whole game, but a portion of the second half, I was saying, guys, we've got to do better because from here on out, the competition gets better,
Yeah.
and if we really want to control our destiny, we have to do it. We can't rely upon someone losing. I mean, it helps, but we can't rely upon someone losing to push us up. We've got to control this. We've got to step on the gas. And so I really thought, I said, man, that young guy is really warming up. He's figured this out a little bit, but it was Spencer Ratliff.
Yeah, they benched Hayner. I mean, if you're listening to this, you watched the game. Hayner was 4 for 10, got sacked 3 times for 29 yards. Should have been sacked more. There were a couple BS calls for roughing the passer
Yeah.
that just going back and watching them all, it just, okay, maybe one of them, but a couple of those were just, it felt like home cooking. And we'll get into home cooking in a little bit, but it reminded me, and we've talked about this in a previous pod, but it reminded me of when back then the Redskins were playing the Steelers, and it was on either Monday or Sunday Night Football, and Ben Roethlisberger got hurt, and next thing you know, here comes Byron Leftwich. And Leftwich came in and just torched us because the defense just practiced for Roethlisberger the entire week. Now, granted, the Saints didn't say who was going to start for them. I want to say until Thursday evening or maybe Friday. So you kind of have to prepare for both. But we talked about it on the last pod. What is this defense going to do when you don't have a ton of film on the guys that you're going up against? You got a new interim head coach that likes to do things differently that you're not sure. And next thing you know, Rattler's moving this damn ball down the field, and they got some momentum all of a sudden, and things just aren't going our way. I mean, at home on the couch, I'm puckering, man. I'm not sure how you were in the stands.
Well, if you were puckering, I was saying, give me another drink, please.
Yeah. I mean, they serving hurricanes in the stadium too?
It was rough, man. I mean, when they say this team makes me drink, that's what it felt. I mean, the gas was being let out people's sails, man. The air was just being let out. It really was, and we were saying, no, no, no. What are we doing? That's what it felt like, man. But one thing that you said, coverage, coverage. I'm hearing that they didn't throw the ball to Lattimore's side at all.
Not once. Marshawn did not get tested at all,
Did he
but
travel?
he did to a degree. He didn't specifically I mean, they don't have the best receivers for really to travel with. I would assume he's going to travel this week going up against Philly and probably follow A.J. Brown or do something at that point. But Marshawn played 96% of the snaps, 53 defensive snaps. There were 55 defensive snaps total. Quan Martin was out there for every single snap. Bobby Wagner every single snap. Frankie Louvu every single snap. Guess the next highest snap, I guess, DB that played for us.
I don't know.
I mean, you would think it would be, a certain guy that likes to get handsy, little Benjamin St Juste, just considering he played a ton before Marshawn got here. So knowing it's not St Juste and knowing Forbes isn't on the team, who do you think it is?
Sainristil?
Winner, man. Mike Sainristil played 91% of the snaps. That's a rookie.
We know that kid's got guts, though. So I guess that's the reason why I said that name, because he's shown that he's going to be good in this league, providing that the eye bug doesn't hit him.
So Sainristil, let's see here. Looking at pass coverage, Sainristil was our highest graded DB in pass coverage, 76.6, higher than Lattimore. Now, granted, they didn't go to Lattimore and target Lattimore, but just based upon it, Lattimore was a 71. Noah Igbenogany was a 72.5, right? It cracked me up because Igbenogany played 69%, 38 snaps. Guess how many snaps Benjamin St Juste played? Let's just say plus or minus 10. Knowing that there were 55 defensive snaps, plus or minus 20. Guess how many he played?
Minus 20. I think he played probably 7 snaps, and all seven of them basically they targeted him, or he had some type of issue with it.
So he had 3 snaps total that he played, and one of them he got called for hands to the face and gave him a first down.
Yeah.
So I feel like he's getting phased out, and I hate to pile on the guy, but they had said in past press conferences that some people are a liability. And I think they were specifically talking about Emmanuel Forbes in running situations and things like that. All of a sudden, St Juste comes in, and the guy's in for 3 plays, and one of those 3, he gives up a first down. I mean, was he targeted that time? I don't know if he was targeted the other times that he was in there. It was just kind of frustrating to see. And I almost forgot that Lattimore was playing, right? Just because you never heard about him. You never heard what was going on at all. So it's awesome to see that this guy did. What's that?
How many tackles did he have?
Lattimore, I don't know if he had any tackles.
Really?
I mean, he was just on the other side of the field pretty much. Yeah, tackles, yeah, 0.
Dang.
So he just shut down their defense and didn't actually do anything else. Actually, yeah, that was 0. No tackles, nothing. He just stuck to his guy like glue and just focused on that. There were times when I saw 23 running around, right? I'm thinking, oh, what's, Chris Rodriguez doing? Then I'm realizing, no, it's Marshawn. But it's nice to know that the move paid off. I wish he would have played earlier, but they've been talking about, I think it was B. Mitch was talking about how there are guys that really wanted to play in different situations, and this coaching staff shut them down. Even if it would have helped the team out, and even if they were, let's say, I'm making up a percentage number, let's just say they were like 60%. The coaching staff and the training staff is not putting players in bad situations where it could help the team but hurt the player down the road. And I think that that's why the culture here just feels so different, because I can't help but think about what they did to Trent. And when Trent had that freaking tumor on his head and everything that was going on, and they put his ass out there and didn't really address it, and that just killed the relationship between him and the franchise, right? These guys are making sure that they're not putting players out there unless they are at 100% and they can go and be effective for the team. Because a hamstring, soft tissue thing, man, if you could have a huge setback, and next thing you know, he's done for the rest of the season. So I am excited to see that a Rook is doing what he's doing, that Sainristil had that one INT. That was just beautiful. He said he knew the route and knew what was going on during it. So that, to me, means the kid's doing his homework and watching film, and the coaches, Joe Witt, had a nice game plan. It's just the game plan kind of went out the window when you got a guy that all of a sudden comes in off the bench that has got a ton to prove. And he was carving us up, man. And yeah. It was definitely worrisome just watching it, because you could feel the momentum slipping. You could feel that things were just slowly but surely going the Saints' way. Then all of a sudden, I could hear the Saints fans rumbling in the background. You could see Jayden covering his ears up, ear holes on the side of his helmet, trying to get the play calls again, because those Saints fans woke back up. I mean, at least on the TV, that's what it seemed. How was it in the stands?
Oh, yeah, they started to get loud. And I said, oh, my gosh, we cannot give them something to cheer for. But we did. And I always say, if the tables were turned, I will be the exact same way. And but let's face it, man, when you have a team down, you got to keep them down. You can't give them a smidgen of hope. And we gave them a lot more than a smidgen. And it came back. We were victorious, but it was scary. And what I didn't realize, obviously live versus what I heard in the airport this morning, was that there was a clock runoff that didn't run off. That they paused the time to move the chains, apparently, or something to that effect. I still don't know the full story, but they paused the clock. Maybe for whatever reason, I don't know why they did it, but they stopped the clock and kept the time on the clock to where it gave them an opportunity to even score, whereas before the game should have been over.
Yeah, this is actually what DQ had to say about clock
I think
game.
that's a big deal.
Dan, did you get an explanation why the clock stopped with 9 seconds?
I don't, and I am absolutely taking the high road right now, Dave, about that. I saw a quick video of that, and so I will wait from the response from New York, but those 3 seconds are critical, man. Let's just say that, and we're on to Philadelphia. I don't know how to answer other than I saw that the replay in the game. I was frustrated why, and so. But in the moment, you don't get to ask, and you don't get the usually the feedback when it's that type of intensity.
So those of you wondering what happened, I'll have a video of it up on the YouTube, or if you're just listening, go to the YouTube and you can actually see it. But the Saints are marching down the field, and we'll rewind after this because I want to get your thoughts on the field goal. But the Saints are marching down the field. And next thing you know, they complete a pass. There's 9 seconds on the clock down to what? Maybe the 2-yard line, maybe the 1-yard line. I got to go back and pull up the exact yardage. But the Saints have no timeouts, right? There's 9 seconds left on the clock. All of a sudden, the clock does not move at 9 seconds. Some people have a stopwatch and they're kind of counting it. It was actually down to the 1-yard line. So it was 4th and 3. Rattler threw it from the 8 down to the 1. Got the first down. That was with 17 seconds on the clock. The clock just stopped counting. It just froze and stayed there. So Luke Johnson, who's one of the Saints beat reporters, the home team reporters are allowed to request a pool report from the referee. The visiting reporters are not allowed to request it, only the home team. So this guy, Luke Johnson, requested it on behalf of the Commanders reporters. And this is from Nikki Javala. Luke Johnson interview with referee Sean Hockley. Question: at the end of the game, it was the 3rd to last play. The Saints completed a pass short of the goal line, and the clock kept running, and it appeared that the clock stopped at 9 seconds. I was wondering if you had an explanation for the stoppage. Hockley: the covering official mistakenly stopped the clock in that situation. The clock should not have stopped. Question: was there any consideration of reviewing the stoppage? Was there anything that you could have done after the fact? Hockley: no, it's not a situation that is reviewable. Question: when were you all aware of the mistake? Hockley: that's all I have for you, Luke. The covering official mistakenly stopped the clock at 9 seconds, and it is not reviewable. So depending on which, I guess, review you look at of the footage, the Saints may or may not have had 1 second left to spike the ball. The fact of the matter is the clock stopped, and they're rushing down there, gave them extra time. So talking about that home cooking, I don't know if they would have got the ball off or not, or spiked it, or if they had to just run a play. But if would have lost because of this whole clock thing, there's no recourse after the fact. It just would have been a big fat L to us on a massive interruption by the referee.
And all we would have gotten was, we're sorry. And an L in the column.
Yeah.
And it would not be good at all, man. And so, you know, they say that everything has a way of writing itself out. There's a big part of me that commends Dan Quinn for not ruffling the feathers, because these are the same guys who you're going to need help from later on, possibly. And so you might need to pull that attaboy out, everyone. You know what I mean? So take the high road. I'm cool with that. I can appreciate that, because, as I said, you're going to be going back to them for some type of call here in the near future.
The Saints had no timeouts, though. That's the part that bothers me, is there was no way for them to stop the clock unless it was an incomplete pass or unless they got out of bounds. So it never should have happened, and the NFL has some explaining to do. But I am more angry with the fact that it never should have came down to that, right?
Right.
When Diami caught that one ball, it was 3rd and something, would have been a first down. That would have iced the game completely. We had a holding penalty. I think it was on, let me pull it back up. I want to say it was on Allegretti, was a hold Yeah. And that was the 9th penalty. That would have iced the game completely. So instead, we run another play. I think we got it to maybe the 38-yard line. Dan Quinn elects to go for a 54-yard field goal. I want to hear your thoughts on that decision. What were you thinking when we're trying to ice this thing on the 54-yarder?
In all honesty, Ted, my thought process was punt the ball and do what most teams do. They run the clock out, get the penalty, 10-yard penalty, which gives you the punter more room to be able to angle it or wherever he wants to do, and make them earn every yard from within their own 15 to 10. That's what I thought. But obviously, I'm not a coach. I'm just a fan. I've heard where people are saying, hey, it was the right call to do, whatever have you. For me, I just believe that you give them a longer field to get the touchdown versus the shorter field. And that's just me. What about you?
Well, before I give my opinion, this is what DQ had to say about his choice.
How difficult was the decision to kick the field goal? You're on the 36. There's a lot going on there.
It was. We thought for us it was within the space to to kick, and so you make those decisions early enough to say, hey, if we're at the 38 and inside, we'll kick it. And so that's where it was. So it wasn't a hard decision to go. You don't like the result of it, but it had plenty of stuff to go. So like going into it, that's why we ran it, on the 3rd down play, which I thought was a good call, where we got into space to give ourselves a chance to go up. So to miss it, that's the consequence of a long one. But I didn't think of punting into that. Had we not gained yards on the run, then we would have been in punt. So that was, we're clear about it. Hey, if we're at this part, we'll punt. If we're at this part, we'll go. And so that's the way I communicate with the coaches.
So I got a problem with it, man. And I know B. Mitch and JP were saying that they're fine with it. I have an issue with us doing that because he missed a kick earlier in the game, right? And it was 40-something, right?
Right.
And then all of a sudden we had an issue with I think it was the Crowder catch for ball right before, I think, the end of the 3rd quarter. And they tried to get the kickoff. And next thing you know, the time ran out because I think they were trying to get that off because they were worried the Crowder catch was going to be reviewed and it wasn't going to be a catch. So that got missed. You just signed this guy on Saturday. You and I talked last week. I talked about how annoyed I was that they did not bring a kicker in at all during the bye week to try and work out. So they're bringing this Joseph guy in during the week. At the end of the week, when you find out that Gonzalez has a foot problem. What did Gonzalez do during the bye week? Did he go play soccer and hurt his foot? I mean, where did the foot problem come from? I don't know that, but it is what it is. But you are trying to attack success. Okay, I get that. You're trying to play for the win. And the analytics say a 54-yard kick in a dome shouldn't be that bad. But you got a kicker that just got here a day ago, right? So you have an operation that is not running smooth. You have a punter that is an all-pro and a Pro Bowler that can maybe, if you're lucky, pin him in a corner and stop him at the 10. Worst case scenario, they got to go 80 yards maybe versus, 90 yards if Tress does get a chance to stop him. But it's a rookie with 0 timeouts, right? You can play prevent to a degree and stack the cards more in your favor versus if you miss this kick, you give them the ball at the 44-yard line. The kid doesn't have to go that far at that point. And that's what I got an issue with Quinn doing that. Because if it was Gonzalez, I still would have had a problem with it because Gonzalez hasn't been at. And looking at Joseph's success rate, he was 7 of 9, so 77% on anything over 50 in 2021, right? He was 3 of 9 in 22 over 50 yards. He was 4 of 7 for anything over 50 in 23. And this year, he's 1 of 2. Right? I don't know why Quinn trusted Joseph and did not trust A, his punter, or B, his defense. I would rather trust my defense to stop this guy on a longer field.
Yeah.
That's the issue I have.
Agreed. Make no bones about it. Yeah.
So luckily, we're crying over spilt milk, but I didn't want to light up a victory cigar yesterday. It just didn't feel like a victory to me. It felt like a dirty win that I needed to take a shower from.
Yeah.
But we're 9-5. Did you stop at Ruth Chris, or what'd you end up doing?
I did not. I second you on that. I said, you know what? Yes, this is a win, but it's not a steak-worthy win. And we went to a place called Cootery, and I had some broiled oysters. That's what I had versus a steak. So
I mean, that also sounds delicious and amazing. And
yes.
I think I had a Hot Pocket for dinner. But yeah, it's
yeah, it was still good, but like you, it's customary that when we win, I get a steak. But I said no, today it won't be a steak. Now, we win in other places, that steak's coming, regardless of how dirty it was or it will be.
yeah. And I get our listeners are saying, hey, we won the game, stop complaining. It's just, to me, it's about being ready to play against higher competition in the playoffs. We should have beat the Saints by more. We should have did to the Saints what we did to the Titans, just being honest.
Yeah,
With
agreed. Yeah.
a bye week to prepare, knowing their situation, knowing how hurt the Saints are, how much that team has really just limped along and given up. We should have won by at least the spread, but it just worried me knowing how the Superdome is. Now we're still the 7 seed. We're going to Philly if the playoffs were to end today. The Packers ended up beating the Seahawks. They're 10-4. I'm not sure if we're going to catch them. The Seahawks are right on our heels at 8-6. So we got a tough matchup this week, obviously against Philly. Philly has already clinched a playoff spot, but they're fighting with the Lions for first. Best be sure Philly would rather have home field advantage than having to go into Detroit for a possible championship game when those two would face each other. On top of that, the Vikings are just 11-2. So Philly's going to give it their all, which I wouldn't question by any means. Now, Zach Ertz, concussion protocol. Jeremy Chin, concussion protocol. So we'll talk about the Philly matchup later this week, but it just concerns me about some of the warts that we still have, because we got to clean up some of this, because penalties were a killer this game. And against a good team, those penalties would have cost us that game.
Yeah, big time. I hate to even mention the whole playoff race aspect of things, but what do we need? Was it Green Bay to lose or Minnesota to lose or something like that to be able to go up? Wow. Can you explain that?
We're not catching Minnesota, most likely, because Minnesota's ahead of the division. Minnesota and Philly and the Lions have already clinched the playoff spot. Minnesota is winning that division, the NFC North. So we're most likely not catching them. The Bucks are 8-6. It's crazy. They're going to win the NFC South with a record probably worse than ours. The Rams at 8-6 have moved up to the 4 seed. Right? We're 9-5. So there's just a lot of jockeying and things going on right now. Not sure if we're going to catch the Packers. The playoff probability right now for the Packers is 99%. Right? For the Bucks, it's 88. For the Rams, it's 55. For us, it's 82. I think we're just keeping this 7 seed and staying here. And I love the guys that ref the district. They actually came out with a scenario that even if we get to 10 wins, I think if the Rams and Seahawks tie, in Week 18, we technically would miss the playoffs if the Rams if they win their next two. So it's just stupid stuff like that. But we do control our own destiny, and that's the most important part of this. Is we control our own destiny. Jayden is legit. Without him, we do not win that game this week. I mean, there was the 4th and 1 where he just dove over the line because it was a zone read that B-Rob just got crushed on. I mean, Jayden did everything he possibly could. And honestly, I think he did too much at times where he was trying to extend plays with his legs. I mean, the touchdown to Terry was 8 seconds, right? And I don't know anyone other than maybe Lamar that could have stayed alive for that long in a pocket for 8 seconds to find Terry on that scramble drill. But for you, who gets your rally chain this week?
I got to give it to Terry. I got to give it to Terry. I mean, he put the points on the board. It's a mix between Terry and Jayden.
Yeah.
Half and half.
Yep. For me, I want to give it to Jayden, but I want to give it also to the defense. I want to give it to Sainristil, and I want to give it to Marshawn instead, right? I mean, those guys did a heck of a job at the beginning of the game, shutting things down, and we're really going to need them this week going up against Philly. I mean, Saquon is no joke, and we're going to have to stack that box. So I'll be curious to see what happens and what Joe Witt's game plan is. But fingers crossed, the concussion to chin isn't that bad, and maybe he can play this week. But if we don't have him this week, I know the coaching staff and the trainers are going to do what they need to make sure that everyone else is ready and that we're good to go. Because not going to lie, man, I was on with Fox 5 this morning talking about it, and I'm not sure I like our odds after seeing what they did to the Steelers. I'm just hoping that our fans end up showing up this week because I'm typically sold out of RSVP spots for the tailgate by now. We're not even halfway there.
Really?
Yeah, not even halfway there, which to me leads me to believe either people are going out of town or they're trying to sell their tickets to Eagles fans to have them come down. And you said it was 60-40 burgundy and gold. I hope it's still 60-40 burgundy and gold when it comes to Sunday.
Not good. Not good at all, man. I mean, but I also think the weather, even though I know football is a cold sport, we get up for it. I think weather a lot of times has something to do with it, but we're winning and you still can't support the product. I mean, we got a problem.
I mean, to me, that's fair weather, right? And I can't blame them. It is what it is. They're saying it's going to be 29 degrees. I got a friend that wants to go to the game, and I let her know it's supposed to be 29 degrees. So just make sure that you actually want to go, because I'm not going to get a phone call Saturday or Sunday saying, nah, I can't go anymore. So we'll see what happens, but we'll tackle that later on this week. But hey, a dub is a dub, man. And I appreciate all the burgundy and gold that represented down New Orleans with you, because y'all made a difference. And I'm just hoping that some of y'all are going to be there with us this Sunday.
Yeah, man. I'm hoping that everybody can show out. Really am. Show up and show out, because we're going to need it. We're going to need all our fans coming down the stretch. And speaking of the stretch, we've got a new song by Jeff Too Funny on Twitter. He's on the JP B. Mitch and Finley show. You guys got to check this song out by Jeff. He made it for us. So with further ado, roll it, Ted.
Oh, yeah, it's go time in New Orleans. But we gonna hit them placking in style. Minotti, hit them horns. See, I always come with a question, but this week I got the answer. They say, who that, who that? We that, left hand up if you really believe that. They say, who that, who that? We that, left hand up if you really believe that. Okay, let's get it, 8 and 5 at the bye, second place in the debate.